Yes, good morning again and welcome back to the BURGAMI Summit Breakfast Show. And today definitely is no different. To tackle today's topic are two distinguished individuals. Comrade Ene Obi, who's former country director, ActionAid Nigeria, and Ahmed Yusuf, a business development consultant. They're both seated and ready to go. But before we do anything, what we normally do is to give you background to today's subject matter. Reports say many residents of the Federal Capital Territory, FCT, say they are finding it difficult to feed due to the high cost of food items. The residents also lamented further increase in transportation fares following the increase in the pump price of petrol. They spoke to the news agency of Nigeria on Sunday in Abuja. According to them, the increased fuel price had left residents grappling with the harsh realities of rising cost of living. The residents said their once manageable budget had spiraled into a daily struggle, primarily due to the rising food prices and transportation fares. They appeal to the federal government and relevant authorities to take immediate action in addressing these issues. Mrs. Miriam Abu, a mother of three, said she often sat at her kitchen table these days with frustration, staring at an empty pot. According to her, last year, I could buy a bag of rice for 50,000 naira. And now, it is more than 100,000 naira. So how can I feed my children? She asked. With my husband's salary barely keeping pace with inflation, I often have to choose between meals and essential household items. For Mrs. Ekaite Obat, a civil servant and a mother of four, the situation is not any better, as she said she had not been able to drive to work or church for the past 5 months. I struggle to pay school fees, get household items, and feed the family. With this increase in costs of items, I do not think we can continue to survive on my mini income, according to Ms. Obat. Meanwhile, the former Vice President, Atiku Abubakar, has accused the current administration of indulging in trial and error economic policies, saying he would have acted differently if given the mandate. Atiku, who contested the 2023 presidential election on the platform of People's Democratic Party, but lost to Tinubu, said the current administration is undertaking a palliative economy, something his administration would not have done. Atiku said unleashing reforms to determine an appropriate exchange rate, cost-reflective electricity tariff, and petrol price at one time is certainly an overkill. The opposition leader noted that while he had advocated for subsidy removal, his administration will have gone for gradual removal, as was done in other countries like Malaysia in 2022 and Indonesia 2022 to 2023. The former vice president said his journey of reforms will have benefited from more adequate preparations, more sufficient diagnostic assessment of the country's conditions, more consultations with the key stakeholders, and better ideas for the final destination. That's about it for the background. Now I'm going to reintroduce my guest, Comrade Ene Obi. She's not somebody that is new to you. I think you have been with our show several times before now. And Ahmed Yusuf. And Ahmed Yusuf, you look very familiar. I don't know you we met before.
Maybe it's interesting. But yes, I'm familiar. Good morning, listeners.
Business development consultant. You're both welcome to the show. Now, if I may just throw it wide open, either one of you can take this. How do you think the government's economic decisions have impacted Nigeria's overall economic growth? Can we begin with Ahmed?
Well, for me, I quite agree that what Atiku said is true, trial and error economic policies. Because for me, apparently the government is so ill-prepared for the responsibilities they ask us to give them. And when they came into power, I doubt if they sit down and review the issues that are impacting the way their policies are impacting on the economy generally. And that is why they look aloof, they look indifferent, because the level of deterioration in the economy, which they perceive in their own case as teething problems, may not be correct. They are wrongly assessing the economy as going through teething problems to recovery. On the reverse side, what they are doing is they are degrading the economy, and they do not have clear path to recovery. Let me give you a simple instance.
Sure.
The Naira was floated. Okay, you floated what is the basis for the flotation? What is the economic base with which you used to prop the Naira? It's supposed to be the productive base. Do you have the productive base? What supportive plan do you have to support the Naira to defend itself? You don't have subsequent policies that will show up the strength of the Naira. For instance, what is the tariff policy to guide against excessive importation? Rather, you have kept quiet with Dangote and oil marketers battling over who should buy what, these people preferring importation. Can you imagine the audacity of saying they prefer to import than to buy local?
It's preposterous.
That's really preposterous. And the government is watching.
Yes. Yeah.
Now, the next thing is, when you looked at the removal of fuel subsidy, nobody, nowhere on earth do you use a knee-jerk approach to economic policies. Of course, you have to know that Nigeria is a huge economy, and transportation is second to, in fact, it is analogous to any productive base. Where you have production, you have transportation. If agriculture is producing, those goods are not going to be eaten by the farmers. They need to move to the locations where they were. You didn't do anything as palliative. And thirdly, you see, there is no empathy in governance. They have virtually not reduced their expenditure profile. The president bought a new jet. That is irritating. The House of Assembly members only speak when their pockets are pinched. The governors are shouting about tax laws, but they never talked about inflation before. So it is only so you have a bunch of irresponsible people leading without any conscience, and they want us to believe that they have a future for us. No.
Well, I mean, that's a good opening shot. Let's see, Comrade, and what is your take on this one?
Yeah, I want to say thank you very much for having me, and good morning, Nigerians. I think the 5 major areas which he has introduced policies. Number 1 was fuel subsidy. Then you look at the unification of the exchange rates, which my brother has talked about already. Then the issue of the social welfare. And then investment in agriculture and job creation. And then you look at infrastructural development. For the fuel subsidy, it's really ridiculing the way the president removed the subsidy without any backing of because policies don't just come. They don't fly in the air. You ought to have had a team set up to analyze the issues of subsidy removal. What is it? Is it beneficial to anybody? And there was a transition period. So I wonder what they were doing during the transition period, to his takeover. We remember that day with agony, the way the president came on board, came up to the podium. He didn't even blink. He didn't look at his speech. He said, subsidy is gone. Meaning that he has been dreaming about it for a very long time. And we know he has family business in oil. So you are looking at this and you say, so where is this coming from? Where is the backup? Where is the preparation for what you are trying to do? And so when you look at the fuel subsidy, and I don't believe in fuel subsidy. That's one other thing. There is nothing called fuel subsidy. There is a report that was given, I think it was House of Representatives or so, that talked about, why they should see that there is nothing like fuel subsidy, because who are you paying it to? There is just names of some human beings. Up to now, the report is there. So when you are talking of fuel subsidy, we have removed it. After they said they had removed it, I remember the VP talking about them paying about 3 trillion for fuel subsidy again. And so until Dangote refinery came up. Now, Nigeria is the only OPEC country without a refinery. So they don't have a refinery. We have 4 refineries, 4 giant refineries. These 4 refineries, if it were working, can you imagine the thousands of young people that would have been employed? We have so many Nigerians looking for jobs, both skilled and unskilled labor, and we don't provide. And then you go and establish refineries in Malta or wherever. You take our oil, a whole Nigeria, this big country. You are not refining any oil, and then you take it out until it broke out between them and the Dangote refinery. When Dangote completed the refinery, give me the crude. He started importing, crude in order to be able to refine products until he got to a point. Then the president said, you can imagine they are really playing with lives. They don't know that many lives are going when they are playing all these hanky-panky. And so now that Dangote is producing. They are talking about dollars. They were giving him in dollars. They are now giving him in naira. And the total confusion that what? Dangote in fact, before he took off, his refinery caught fire. We remember that very well. It caught fire, whether it was technical or sabotage. But he is producing now. We are happy that he's producing. That does not beget that the 4 refineries, it has consumed so much money. The Port Harcourt refinery ought to have gone before, started production before President Buhari ended his tenure. Now he's not producing. The Warri refinery, one of the major, refineries in this country. And then we have all the others. They are not producing and they are not preparing. For Dangote now, getting the oil at the rate where he's getting, if you are getting it in Nigeria, you are not taking it out of the country. You are within the country. You are not transporting it anywhere. There is no shipping to anywhere. Should it not be cheaper? So who is holding Dangote? Or is he the one that is trying to use that to make money? Or that the NNPC, is now finding, we are now hearing that even what is producing is not being, a lot of it is not being consumed in the country because of argument between the NNPC and so on. NNPC, a huge body without refinery. And we must recognize that the president himself is a minister of petroleum. Where do you hear that? The job of a presidency is such a busy one. You have enough. So why not get a petroleum minister? And also, he has a minister of state. Minister of state is illegal according to the constitution of Nigeria. There is no minister of state, so it's an illegality itself. So let me pause.
Well, there is no doubt that you guys came into the studio with fire in your breath. But the truth of the matter is that economic policies of the government is affecting the daily lives of Nigerians. How do you think this has, these have impacted on the poverty rate in Nigeria? Do you want to take it, Ahmed?
Well, you see, the thing is, poverty poverty, there are two types of poverty. Let's be very candid. There is the poverty of the mind, which was prevalent in Nigeria from the beginning. People want to be rich faster, so they don't even want to learn skills and do things that will get them to be productive. That one is there, but it was on the lower level, and you can count the number of people who are engaged in it. Then there's a second, which is productive poverty. People who are poor, not because they choose to be poor, but because they lack the capacity to initiate the activity that will get them out of poverty. And that's where government comes in. Now, at this level, all the government institutions that are designed to achieve that policy of supporting these people to become productive have failed. They have failed in the past. This government came, they have not done anything to tweak the system to make them work. Let me give you a simple example. Smedan. If you look at the statistics of Smedan, it's embarrassing. They put hundreds of thousands of rubbish. Where is in each local government, they should list the businesses running in each local government that they have developed. Nothing. Rather, they push money to political people. Somebody will become Smedan MD and qualified to become a governor. You know the nexus is not good. There is a fraud there. Then you now pick up from there. You go to the humanitarian ministry. That is the biggest corruption hub between the last government and this government. So the money they were humanitarianising people, where was it going? How did they get that? How did they get those people? They say United Nations. United Nations? What is United Nations in Nigeria to determine who and who should get what? How many villages do they have access to? It is good when they do healthcare schemes where people can come and get. But to tell me that they are the ones who will point at people who you will give palliatives to is criminal. So, for me, as far as I'm concerned, their policy has failed. It was not intended to succeed in the first instance because it is designed to feather the nest of some people who are close to the corridors of power. Now, if we have to make a shift, Tinubu must sit down and tell himself the truth. He is surrounded by a cabal of never-do-wells, vultures, and irresponsible people who do not mean well for this country. You have people who will sit down, create a policy, and sabotage it. The president came and said, because of the economic situation, they are going to import maize, they are going to import rice, they are going to... Where is the import? Nobody has imported anything. Why? Go and check. I am 100% sure. If you check the profiles, you will find that foreign exchange has been allocated for those people to import.
No, definitely.
So where did the money go? So these are the issues. Right. Now, if you have a bunch of people surrounding you, and they are not delivering on policy, and you lack the capacity to make a change, then it means you're hostage to those people. And therefore, it means our entire political system is broken. And please forgive me, it is not APC alone. Both parties are guilty. Because for you to see the disease, you go to the individual state governors. Because it is from there that the presidency built his package. If every party in every state has failed in their state, and therefore cannot qualify to say that they have solutions. And that's why I'm wary when politicians come and talk and say, just for the sake of criticizing Tinubu. No. APC is 80% PDP in membership. So, please, the question is, we Nigerians, and I repeat, we have to begin to tell ourselves the truth.
Let me give you a very interesting scenario. Several years ago, I had actually invited one of the arms of government because I was doing some, let's say I live partly in South Africa. I invited them to meet some of the organizations and ministries that are really doing so well. There were some ministries, some organizations that were given, for example, 2 billion rands. And they say, in 10 years, we want you to create infrastructure, create industries. We want you to make sure that you're out of this 2 billion, you've done everything we've asked you to do. Create new industries. Do you know that when the group came to South Africa, they were given red carpets and all the other stuff? And one of the people who came was a senator, a very distinguished gentleman. He made a statement to me, which I still remember now, and it's even more obvious, particularly with this government. He said, Shola, the problem that you're going to face is that you've invited some sharks. It is easier for them to sit around and dip into, into the funds available to do whatever they want to do, rather than being creative to build the economy like these people did. It was not very surprising. By the time they left me. They said before they get back to Nigeria, the ink will not be dried on the document before. Yeah, that was the last we saw of them. All the different areas where they were supposed steel structures, where they were supposed to have different factory in each state to replace the wooden the woods for roofing and all that with lightweight steel. I can just go on and on. There were a lot of things that they were supposed to pick up from that. Surprisingly, we didn't even get a thank you note from them after they left. I just spent 10 days. I don't want to tell you what they were busy doing in South Africa, but
they were in Santon City.
So But you see, so what you're saying is so right, so raw. In one of the papers yesterday, what did it say? It said that they've borrowed 3.2 billion to service the naira, to service profit of the naira. At some point, are you not going to pay back? What is your basis for paying back? So the industry that you're talking about, the manufacturing, the production base is not there. So it's nobody's surprise. So let's carry on. Comrade Ene,
yes.
I know you deal close on the ground with the people. How has this affected the daily lives from what you know, the purchasing power we know?
I think, the Tinubu administration, by removing the so-called subsidy,
yes,
was intending to free up resources for public investment, and then to bring down inflation and so on. But it has caused a lot of, it becomes meaningless for some of the stories that you read, for example. Last year, or before the Tinubu administration, we were buying rice between 30 and 36,000.
I produce rice.
Okay.
We used to sell 25,000 naira per bag.
Thank you.
Correct. That I'm familiar with. Because
you see,
there was a time,
and we still make profit.
There was a time I bought close. I was trying to give bags away. I bought close to, I think, 40 bags, which were given. In fact,
if you buy
it was 22. That's what I'm trying to say.
You buy plenty, you discount.
You guys gave it to us at 22. So we saved 3,000 naira per bag. But sorry, go ahead.
So you see what we're talking about, and that's why when we talk about the minimum wage that they are debating, they debated and debated. When the Nigerian Labour Congress says, give us 200,000, they were looking at it. Because for me, it's the worth of the money that becomes important. When Nigerians were collecting the 30,000, if you are collecting 30,000, you were still able to, before, Buhari's coming, rice was 8,000. So it means that you can buy a bag of rice as a poor worker and still have change and do some other things. But now you are collecting 70,000, and also they are still dilly-dallying. So many of the state governments are still dilly-dallying with that. And so you get, the 70,000 is not up to a bag of rice. Many of us used to buy bags of rice, as we are going to Christmas season now. how many people can afford? It's now about 100,000 or even more, depending on where you are buying.
Talk about Gary, madam.
You know,
Gary going out of
Gary that is a poor person's, is the savior of the commoner with granite. You can't buy granite anymore. You can't buy Gary. You know, Gary, I was in a shop, in a particular shop. I was just doing some household shopping. And one guy, I watched him trying to pick out, squeeze 200 naira from his pocket. I think he was ashamed because I was there. He was trying to hide it or something. Eventually, he brought it out. And he gave it to the man. He said, please, can you give me 1 cup of Gary? I looked at him. He's a full-grown man. And I looked at him. I said, please, keep your money. I just held his hand. Keep your money. I bought him some mudu of, Gary, gave him rice, gave some tomato, and all of that. You know, the dignity is not just sisterly love. The dignity of the humans. How many of our young people today that cannot afford, even to eat? Many of us have graduated so many children. You graduated children and they cannot afford to, pull down. When you talked about Atiku saying that he had solution, he would have phased out, subsidy. It means he still doesn't even understand the economy. Because many of them, they are all the same. They come to make money, because what you have done, where do you get to? Transport skyrocketed immediately.
But Atiku of all people should not.
Working in ActionAid, I worked in about 26 states across the country. And so we know the poorest of the poor. Right. We work with the most marginalized people. And you are seeing poverty. Now, when we say about 100 million Nigerians are living below the poverty line, what does that tell you? It means that those 100 million who cannot afford to eat, their children are supposed to be in school. Don't forget that about 62% of Nigerians are young people. The children are supposed to be going to school. The women are having children. Some of them, CS have had to free people from the hospital with 350,000, and things like that. You have people, and these are genuine things. Okay, they said they were freeing up the economy. They were looking at the infrastructure. Health should be an issue. Have they built any new hospital? President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is going to London or France for medical checkup and all of that. What are they doing? What have they done for the people? I want to say something on the Ministry of Humanitarian. When you talk about, because ActionAid was monitoring, under my leadership then, we had to monitor the social investment program. And the National Social Investment Program was in the VP's office. Most of the money that was supposed to be given to them was not given. It was sort of approved, but the release of the funds was almost truncated. But it's a special intervention because I, as a governance team leader, still under ActionAid, I went to Brazil to go and study their Bolsa Familia. That is how Brazil lifted many people from poverty. And we came back into the country, we started talking about social protection, but the government was not, no government was listening to us until the government of President Buhari. Yes, you have introduced the National Social Investment Program. That was a tech group because every money was going in through electronic means, the release of the funds. But it was being truncated by so many officers. There was so much corruption in the system. But the good thing with them is, if you report anything to them, they react immediately. It was under Miriam Weiss. She had a technical team. And when you are moving with that, when you report anything, they didn't just take it for granted. Even DSS was involved in all of the states of the Federation, down to the grassroots. But the quality of the human being again affected it, but I won't go deep into that. We stopped monitoring after 2 years. That was when they now moved the program into the Ministry of Humanitarian. How do you do that? That's an intervention. It's a special intervention. It's not supposed to last forever. And so you don't take that. They went and lumped it. I said, so who do I talk to now? Who is the person in charge? They say it's the minister. Is it the minister who is moving around? They said they were going to feed children during COVID-19. I said, but nobody is in school. And for ActionAid, we believe in transparency and accountability. We just stayed out of it.
Well, listen, there's so much to cover, because I was looking at what Ahmed suggested earlier, and has this government even understood what planning is. Because there's so many eggheads in Nigeria. This is one country that can boast of some of the brightest and the most brilliant people in the world.
That's right.
Bring them together, lock them in a room, give them 2 weeks to come up with, which industries can Nigeria begin to generate in order for us to be able to feed our people, to do the things.
Honestly, what I'm trying to point out, if only Tinubu had come and said, all government, state, local, and federal government must buy made in Nigeria alone. And number one priority,
made in Nigeria?
Don't, no money for importation. That alone, the transformation that it will do to the economy.
Right.
You remember, Chivita was almost out of the market. It was 5 alive we were taking. Obasanjo just came one day and said, no blending fruits on any government function. And that day, he told them to take out all 5 alive, and only Chivita was there. That alone transformed Chivita from what it was to what it is today. And today, 5 alive has never been able to catch up. These are the kind of policies, not all those highfalutin, coat-wearing policies that you wear, and then it's just unfortunate.
Sorry, as beautiful as I want to touch so many areas of the subject matter, after half an hour, we normally stop to take phone calls from our listeners. And this is that time. Our telephone number.
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
I'm doing fine, and you?
Very well, thank you. Who's calling, please?
My name is Alhaji Isabella, calling from Maraba.
Oh, Isabella, so please go ahead. Let's hear what you got to say.
Good morning, the guest in the studio.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Yeah, you guys have spoken very well. But you see, the problem we are having in Nigeria is too many. It's too many in the sense that till now we have not even identified where we're going to start from and where we're going to take it up from and where we're going to end it. First, from our electoral side, we did it wrong. Because our election is wrong. It's being done with money. And you cannot do business without having profits. People squander a lot of money, making it do or die affair. And when they come to power, they want to regain that money. That is the problem we are having. This problem involves the government and the commoners, the voters. We are after money. We take money and we vote you in. So that person will do whatever he wants. Now, let me tell you, when that person finally comes, I speak on this program and I say, is it a cost to us or a blessing? Since the day that we start producing this fuel, that is the very day we start having this increment within a month, and nobody can say anything. Today, look at where we are. And why are we so much concerned on fuel? Why can't we diversify? We have mineral resources abundantly in this country. We have gold, black stone, we have coal, we have... Look at them, name them everywhere, almost every state. We have a state that can, with the mineral resources, will run this country, and even on board child, we have a salary. Nobody's talking about it. We have a deposit company, Lavishing. That is the company that can feed everybody, pay everybody school fees, everybody's salary. Nobody's talking about it. Where? Now we have an electronic car coming in. We have solar car coming in. Like maybe now they have an electronic car moving without taking fuel. Once the sun comes, the fuel shows up and start moving. In the next generation, what are we going to do if we continue in this fuel issue? And we are suffering deeply because of the fuel. Now we have our own refinery by Nigeria, and the man in charge is trying to say nobody should go out. They should allow him alone to serve the whole country without going out to buy fuel. Without competition, what happens when we have NTL, Glow, and other networks? What happens when competition came in? We were buying a line. I bought a line for 46,000 when I bought my first line. You know what? I bought me buy 150,000 a line. Today they are giving line free. Just go and load it. To make their money. And you don't want to competition. You want to punish us. People are suffering. See, we have sentiment, religious sentiment, tribal ethnicity, let us diversify. Let each state have something to do to feed people, to feed them, to pay their salary, and bring something to the center. That is true federalism. Instead of base the money on only fuel, and we are suffering.
Alaji, hello? Alaji?
Yeah.
Yes, please. There's so many people on queue. I would have allowed you to continue because you're making basic facts. Hello? Hello?
Hello, good morning.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
My name is Benga, calling from Wuse. Good morning. Is that Mr. Shola?
Yes, brother. How are you?
I'm cool.
Yes.
I just joined the program now. There's the discussion. You look at you are talking about Dangote, price, and the rest of things. Am I right?
Well, we're talking about the effect of government policies on increasing poverty in Nigeria, basically.
Okay, increasing poverty.
Yes, the impact it has in terms of increasing poverty in Nigeria.
Yes. If you look at it, government policy have really impacted poverty. The purchasing power has gone low. No doubt about that. Number one is the floating of Naira, which makes Naira to be around 1,600 now. And that has increased the price of goods and services in Nigeria. So now people who are earning low could not afford. And also the removal of subsidy has made the fuel price to go high, the transportation cost has gone high, and that now those who are collecting salary before, transportation cost is like 70% of their salary. So they have lost their job. But why are we here today? It's because we did not use our resources when we have the surplus very well. These two policies were necessary for our healing, for our recovery. But we could not, the defect is so hard because of what? When we have the money, we not use it for infrastructure. About 3 weeks ago, Obanjo said he left about $75 billion in the coffer when he was leaving. And between 2007, 2008, 2014, when Jonathan fuel was selling, crude oil was average of $100 per barrel, and was generating 2.2 million barrels per day. Mr. Shola, 70 million already cash with us. With the money generated and taxes from other revenue we got in, should we be where we are today? Can you point to any 5 legacy projects that have improved life of standard of people that were done with those money? No. Because that time, instead of using to invest in infrastructure, rail, transport, and the rest, and that will attract investors to come and put industry and create factory to generate power that will make all the textile industry in the north to come up. We are using it to subsidize dollar, importing rice, and selling at 8,000 naira. People are rejoicing and say, yes, rice is very cheap. During Jonathan. Now, what happened? Did Buhari, Tinubu destroy the road when they came in? Did they destroy the power they came in? No. If we have rail, if they have used those money at that time to construct rail in Nigeria, to make power stable in Nigeria, and to have the electricity and the better are coming in, we will not feel the effect of this subsidy removal and on Naira today. The reason why we are feeling the hard effect of it is that there's no infrastructure on ground that are pushing it. If there's a rail running throughout Nigeria today, that from Lagos to Abuja, you can go on rail. Price of goods will not skyrocketed. People will have left of taking commercial vehicle and join the train that will be cheaper today. In Abuja today, the only rail running in Abuja is between central area and airport, and it's not steady. If a city like this at this age, you don't have rail running connecting Wuse to Maraba, Beggars to Abaiti, to Zuba. If we have those on ground, we will not feel the effect of those policies in our tax asset because we will show alternative where we can transport ourselves. What I'm saying is that the effect is there. Then we can enjoy it if we use the money from subsidy we are saving and the dollar we are saving from subsidizing dollars is for infrastructure. The next 4 or 5 years, we will see that the pain will be less. So I'm calling on the governor and the president to look for alternative to subsidy to make life better. Number one, agriculture. Let them invest heavily in agriculture so that price of food can come down. We are in Nigeria today. It's a shame that this is we only plant during the rainy season. We don't plant during the dry season, and it should not be so. We have dams, we have river everywhere all over Nigeria, in the north and south. Why can't we employ the irrigation to make the farmers to plant throughout the season? That will also make the price of food to be cheaper and affordable. Because let me tell you, I must tell you, those policies in the subsidy and if you're on Naira, they are necessary for us. If not, this country will have collapsed. When government was spending 98% of revenue to pay debt, because we are borrowing money to do what we are doing. Because we are not getting enough revenue because we are using this money to pay subsidy. We are using our dollar from oil to that dollar. Some people go and buy dollar in the CBN. If they want to import at 450 and take it to Sompo and go and sell at 800 naira and be rich overnight. They will carry out all the border at 150 naira they buy in Nigeria. They go and sell like all the border at 700 naira. Be rich overnight. That cannot continue. Financial policy, we are feeling the pain. Yes, there's poverty there. The government can do more by making food available and implementing the programs that will lessen the pain. Thank you very much.
Well, thank you, Benga. Our topic has government, as Tinubu's economic policies led to mass poverty in Nigeria.
Hello?
Yes, good morning.
Good morning, Shola.
Yes, sir.
My name is Oga Gabriel. I'm calling from Gwarimpa.
Yes, Oga, please go ahead.
Shola, one thing is that if we are to look for solutions to our problem, we should not be praising these government policies as if it is the best, as if it is going to bring us out of the woods. The thing is that when somebody is saying that this government policy is the best, that if they have been doing like this from the previous government, it wouldn't have been like this, it's a very wrong analysis. Now, if the former government is bad, if their policy is bad, if they did not do anything, Ahmed Tinubu, the president, has been in Nigeria for these 8 years or more. He is the leader of APC, the ruling party now. And the party has been ruling for about 9 to 10 years now. And he's the leader. If he knows that their policies are not good and things are not done well, Bola Tinubu has the power to put things in place. And if he knows that he cannot put things in place, why did he come in? And what was his campaign mandate? Promises. What are his campaign promises? Is to come and fix Nigeria. Is to come and do what other government, the former government, has not done. The policies that are not affecting the masses positively is not a good policy. What policy will you put in place that people are suffering? It is about just 5% of the people that are praising this government, like the land caller. You understand? Because maybe they are close to the government, or the government is their relative, or the government is their friend, or they are eating from the government cover. The policies that affect 90%, 95% of the masses negatively is not a good policy. Are you ruling to satisfy yourself, or you are ruling to satisfy the masses? We voted for him, yes, even if I did not vote for Bola Tinubu, we say it is his son, and he uses his money to buy the position. I want to say categorically that not 50% of Nigeria voted for this man. Because he has used his money to satisfy himself, he want to take that money back to his pocket, and even more. Now, people are suffering. You make policies, and it's not affecting the people positively. And people are suffering. People are. He cannot say he's not hearing what is happening in the country. And you bent on holding on to that policy. You did not revise anything. You take a subsidy with one of the resources say he doesn't even believe that there's anything like subsidy. Because why you take subsidy away, we hear that they are still paying for subsidy. Which of the subsidies again? Mm-hmm. And when you say that, when you hear that people are suffering, you did not revise it. Then what is government? You understand? People are dying. Then you still bet on your phone because you did not come to actually rule the people the way you promised them during campaign. It's very unfortunate. If we are to, like I said, we are to find solution to our problem, we should stop praising this government policy. They are the same. Somebody says 70 to 80% of people who are in the APC now are PDP. Yes, because politicians are the same. They work hard in hand. You understand? What we are talking today is about ourselves. It's about the poor masses. It's about the suffering of the masses. It's about the poverty. It's about how people are dying. We are not to support any policy that is not working, and not to blame the past government, like I said. If you blame the past government, then we are going backwards. Where are we starting from?
Thank you so much.
People would have put a good policy in order. Nobody will talk. If people are not hungry, nobody will talk. If people are now dying, nobody will talk. And somebody is blaming all past government. Let him do his own now. And even the past government that did not put all these things in place that is saying, we enjoy those government more than this government. And we have human beings.
Thank you. Oga, I think we probably have to take some more callers since we have such a short time to go. The issue, well, I don't even want to say, somebody was telling me when we started this morning, this issue is very intoxicating because they don't think we can finish it within 1 hour. Let's take some more callers. Yes, sir.
Good morning, Mr. Shola.
Good morning, sir. How are you?
Olushola Olariwaju is calling from Central Area.
Olariwaju, okay. Sorry. Go ahead, sir.
Thank you, my brother. If the government of today did not do what it's supposed to do, the same thing will be repeated. So there is no way we will not make statements to the past year. When the oil was selling at 100 to 120, we are producing not less than 2.something million. But like that one, what can they use that money for? A simple refinery, they cannot even rotate to the other. Make all the refinery to down. In the name of privatization, they sold all our company. In each state, I work in a Nigerian sugar company, Bakita, they can do paper, many like that. In 10 years, 20 years ago, we don't have less than 5 manufacturing companies in each state. But they sold it in the name of privatization. It's still working. And when we are talking about you can't do magic. And the quality alone cannot work in the system when you are not productive. America has a good policy, but they are producing technologically and they are producing farming. What are we producing? 70% of our revenue is go on recurrent expenditure. What we produce is what we produce. But our naira value, what you are taught in economics. People say this one. In your case, they need to say something in the morning. At civil servants, they cannot even build out with their salary they are receiving. That statement has been long for more than 20 years of programming, which has been listened to for more than 20 years. Government has been not made that salary to be possible. But we are productive. And some people think that we can do math. No way. We don't have simple refinery. And you think we can determine the price of oil. Where? We continue blaming. When this one goes now, they continue praising him. There's no magic you can do. We have to be productive. We have to be consuming and consuming what we are producing. So God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you, sir. Well, we're going to round up shortly because I do want my guests to be... They've heard most of what you guys have said. But I think more importantly is that they need to have the last word. The unfortunate part is that so much is going on. Ahmed made mention earlier of the impunity of this particular government. You're buying planes. You're giving trillions of of contracts to build highways, and you have no basis of the kind of financial stability or economic, what did somebody call it? Economic terrorism.
Yeah.
See, so I think, let that be the. Do we have any more callers then? Okay. Yeah, so let me bring it back to my resource. Ahmed, you've heard what the people are saying. Shoot, what is your conclusion on all of this?
Well, honestly, my conclusion is simple. What you can't criticize without offering solutions, because you're now falling into the same basket as them. The first thing is make politics unattractive. Reduce the powers of the National Assembly to making laws. That their, fraudulent way of padding budgets and doing it should be eliminated. No National Assembly member should earn more than the minimum wage.
Good point.
If he needs a vehicle, he should request for it from the transport section. Let them give him a vehicle, let him do his job. If they are going anywhere, that's what they should do. It is wrong that we have sold the houses, but then they should be entitled to housing allowance. That is all they are entitled to. So it should be a service, not a place to come and enrich yourself. Then, governance. Every minister must understand that the maximum he can get is not more than the salary of a permanent secretary. And also, let us be very clear that there must be a way. Governors must also be limited, maximum the salary of a permanent secretary. The civil service of the states must be empowered, and the federal government must be empowered, must be the engine room for development. And there will be strong penalties for anybody who has shown any capacity of living beyond his means. We need a leader that will transform the political structure. All this issue of tribalism, religion, they are all arriving because of the economic benefit that is associated with occupying positions.
Correct.
If you remove that, nobody will care whether you are a Baptist or a Catholic or a Muslim or a Buddhist, because they know you are just there to serve. If we do that, then those people will not be empowered to come up with economic policies that they too can take advantage of. Because right now you can be rich without taking advantage of any economic policy.
People
steal money and yes. So therefore, if you set up an industrial policy that is favorable, you can leave the National Assembly and go and face an industry.
True.
So that's the first thing. De-economize politics. Make it a service, not an engine room for economic benefit. Rejig the civil service. Make it a productive base, not a place for economic aggrandizement. When you do that all across the state and make governance result-oriented, I tell you, if we can get that done, 80%, and then those policies will come. You cannot buy anything that is not from Nigeria. If it's government, if Nigeria doesn't have it, then you must get special approval exception before it can be bought.
Look, I mean, even countries that are close to Nigeria,
yes,
I mean, they practice the same thing.
Yes. If you can't buy Nigeria, then buy West Africa. If you can't buy West Africa, buy Africa. If you can't buy Africa, then you can go elsewhere.
Look at Botswana. Botswana, for example, whatever they have there is what goes.
Use.
You cannot import what the country produces. It's not possible.
It's everywhere.
Yes.
You can't carry ordinary water to Canada. They will throw it out because they have their own equivalent.
South Africa manufactures how many cars? They will not let you import any car. But anyway, comrades?
Yes.
I think you have less than 2 minutes.
They raised so many points which we may not be able to respond to all of them. They raised the issue of electoral reform. Yeah. And electoral reform is one of the things that we have been dealing with. I was the convener of the Nigerian Civil Society Situation Room. I know what happened during the election. It wasn't the fault of the Nigerians who voted. Like somebody said, not many Nigerians voted for Ahmed Tinubu, but he's declared the winner. And so it has to do with both INEC and all the humans, the quality of our citizens, those who handle the election. And so when you're looking at that, now we're having local government election, which is the closest governance to the people, and the atrocities that is being committed. So there's a political capture. If you look at in terms of freeing the resources that we're talking about, during the 8 years of Buhari administration, he borrowed 17 trillion naira in 8 years. But Tinubu in 1 year borrowed 16 trillion in 1 year. It means we are down. And where he's living, which comrade, which my brother Ahmed referred to earlier, about buying made in Nigeria. The military junta, and that's why when people are calling, some people call for military, the administration raised their head. The military junta, the guy who is leading there, is still with the old jeep that was left behind, that he took over. He has not bought any vehicle at all. If you go deep into the National Assembly vehicles, who got the contract? Why did they not buy made in I think Innocent is producing stronger cars.
Nord is there.
And Nord, okay, so many others that are producing. But somebody got this, and if you trace it to a place that you will not like. So the monopoly also that we're talking about, monopoly of are we not going to resolve the issue of what do you call it now? Are we going to resolve the issue of our refineries? Are refineries ever going to produce? I hope the coming of Dangote will not become a monopoly. Nigeria can prepare itself. They can export. So many things. Hunger has no tribe. Yes. It has no language. It has no religion. And so it's important. All of us, we need to come together. Do we have a national plan? This rethinking of New Hope. Does New Hope have a plan? The engine room for development is the National Planning Commission.
I'm out of time.
Thank
Sorry
you.
about it.
Okay.
There's another forum in which we can use, which is about 2 hours long, because I don't think we've even scratched the surface of this subject.
That's right.
On Sunday between 7 to 9 p.m., there is the Shola Ije show, which happens to be, how do you put it? We don't blame anybody. We just say it just like it is. But again, we would like to thank you for your coming this morning. The subject is, I don't even know where. We haven't scratched the surface. Let's just put it like that. We'd like to invite you back if you're available during that period. This particular segment has been produced by Chinedu Cheno. And for all those who called, we thank you. Alaji Sabala, Benga, Oga Gabriel, and Olan Rewaju. Please have a wonderful Tuesday.
Thank you.
I'm Shola Ije. Cheers.